We have today in front of us one of the most interesting and innovative laptop designs on the market, and it has been refined for the latest generation in front of me here in search of incredible. I have the new Zenbook Pro 14 Duo OLED. We have more than one display here. Some available specifications on this particular model. Intel 12th Gen, Intel Core i9, up to 32 gigs of memory, up to 2 terabytes of storage, PCIe 4.0, up to 6,500 megabytes per second transfer speed. You have Thunderbolt 4x2. You have GeForce RTX, but the studio drivers, of course, this device is targeted at the creative types, although you could throw a couple of games on there too. We have a 16:10 display, 93% screen to body ratio. It's got an OLED touchscreen on it. 120 Hertz, high resolution, 14.5-inch display. So this just launched and you just watched the live stream, but I'm actually getting my hands on this device before that live stream even happens. So this will be discovery for me and my first interaction with this. There aren't too many form factors like this, so it's hard to even cross-shop. If you decide you want something that looks incredibly futuristic and you can make use of that secondary display, this is probably the device you're gonna end up looking at. Ooh, free sleeve, nice. You always enjoy having a couple of extras in any type of unboxing experience. You'd have to buy this after the fact, wouldn't you? That's slim too. You have a pen holder because it's a touchscreen, but it also supports pen input. Now you get a sense for how slim and tiny and portable the Zenbook is itself. And unboxing experience, which highlights the unique hinge mechanism, which enables that secondary display. This gives you a little preview of how that's gonna work on the box itself. Zenbook Pro 14 Duo OLED, world's first 14.5-inch, 2.8K. See, that's what I said. That's a lot of pixels for a 14.5-inch display. 120 Hertz, OLED, you can have it all. You can have every single spec you're looking for from a display perspective in one place. And then of course you've also got that secondary display below. 2880 by 1800 on the main display. The second display is 2880 by 864, so same horizontal resolution, just coming in below that. Ice Cool Plus 85 watt ultra performance cooling with dual fans. GeForce RTX 3050 Ti GPU, which they fitted into a slim little form factor. Dolby Vision, 76 watt hour battery inside of that 14.5-inch laptop footprint. From the outside, this looks like a typical 14-inch laptop. Little bit of paperwork. Oh, wow. Ergo Lift stand. Willie Doo is a huge fan of these things. These stick to the bottom of the laptop, providing an even greater angle, as you can see here. A couple of bonuses in here, the case and then that. This one's no joke. That says 180 watts on it. That is a pretty serious power brick. Oh, we also got the pen, sick. This is the Pen 2.0, but I don't understand because the touchscreen is we'll figure this out. This pen has 4,096 pressure sensitivity levels, USB-C cable, a couple of extra nubs for the pen. Nice size. Cool, you lift up this little section here. You have your USB-C charge port, then it's hidden when you come down like this. A couple of buttons on there also. On to the main attraction. The whole thing feels solid, metallic. Ooh, all right, here we go. You can see a set of tools that would be available on the Screen Pad Plus. Quick adjustments for things like brightness and other settings. Nice. This is the magic. This bottom display, matte finish, top display, glossy. Now you can see what happens with your angles. You see how this center portion just pokes up, pops up, and creates this channel for airflow to move through. All of a sudden you have this enhanced cooling taking place. Yeah, you can see the fans in there. You've got like almost an inch of clearance now where the fan location is. Now, the other thing that's interesting about this design is because you have this display up here, it pushes your keyboard down here and it pushes your trackpad over to the right-hand side. And you're probably looking at it thinking, wait, that trackpad is in portrait mode. It is. It actually maps accordingly. You kind of don't even notice the fact that it isn't the same aspect ratio as the display. Keyboard is chiclet style, but there is a little bit of key travel there. I like the large font that they've put on the keyboard. On the right-hand side, we have our analog audio jack. On the back, we have a micro SD card slot, as well as our power port. Full-size HDMI out to a monitor, television, or otherwise. And then over on the other side, 2 Thunderbolt 4 ports, a couple of LEDs, and 1 USB-A port. It is a fairly aggressive screen to body ratio, as mentioned, 93%. Still, we're able to fit a front-facing camera and variety of other sensors, microphones into the top section. Nice. I mean, OLED is OLED. That's the type of pop that you want. For the moment, this is the most pleasing thing for me to look at, especially when we're talking about multimedia and content consumption. There's no other technology that's doing what OLED is doing as far as the deep blacks, the rich colors. They remind you right on the main wallpaper as well. They're like, hey, this is OLED. Quick guide. So touchscreen down here. Get the most out of your ScreenPad Plus. Cool. So this is a scenario in which you would have a browser open on the top main display, but then you've also got a map in the bottom left section. You're actually using the bottom screen as a dual display, possibly your calendar, and they've even fit the weather in here. This is completely configurable by you. If you've ever used any type of dual display setup, then you know you can just drag whichever windows you want to keep there frequently. This could be social media, could be your calendar, it could be your email client, wherever you're kind of constantly glancing, you could leave that down there. Ooh, here's another example. In this scenario, we're doing some editing. You can see a little bit of a timeline down here on the bottom, and then you have your bigger display up top. So you're getting just way more information. And I mean that in the sense of pixels, like there's just extra pixels down here. Of course, you could have a bigger laptop display, but then that comes with a much bigger form factor. This is still aiming to be compact and fit into a bag and all the rest of it at 14.5 inches. Please select the topic you would like to learn more about. Control Center, Flick Windows, and Organizer. Let's go ahead and go with Control Center first. We're gonna open the launcher. Now, this is gonna let us very quickly launch into whatever common applications we use with the secondary display. Things like handwriting, maybe a number key. Maybe you wanna have Spotify living down here. As you're getting your work done, you want to quickly be able to interact on your secondary display with whatever you're listening to. And this is configurable. As you can see, I can create my own set quick buttons in this section down here just by creating a new group. Oh, I can move it. So if I preferred this to be on the bottom, that could be on the bottom as well. All right, so the next potential functionality here, they're calling it Flick Windows. Let's go ahead and click on that. This is moving a window to ScreenPad Plus. Oh, cool. I can just flick this way or that way. Nice. And last up, we have Organizer here. So this is like quickly allowing you to adjust window size just by dragging it and then pinning it to one side of the secondary display. So there's 3 separate locations I can place it, and I can see them identified by this like little white line over here. Also, I can just maximize it or send it to display 1 or 2, all based on touch. So I go up to 1 and then I slam the browser up to the top. Multiple options for inputs. You can use your finger touchscreen across both displays. Obviously, you can use the pen, which has been included in this case for pen input, over 4,000 levels of pressure sensitivity, or you can just go ahead and utilize your mouse as well. Do it the old-fashioned way, trackpad or mouse. We also have this flip button, that's a quick way of just moving an application browser window from one spot to the next. That's actually probably the fastest. What's nice about this little snap feature is that you're gonna be able to quickly arrange what you want down here. It's gonna be perfectly divided. And actually the touch-based input on the smaller display here feels very natural because of the angle that this is placed at. You kind of just, you feel like reaching up. Okay.
Yeah! I just been getting yelled at.
I'm discovering the speakers right now.
You better do a little piano in the background. Tell you what.
Full screen here?
It's better than most
Hang on, I just need to comment on the audio real quick. It is, sounds way better than I expected. Way better. Format like this? You think it's small, and how big could the speakers be? Are they just firing there, or am I hearing it out of this chamber here?
Thank you to everybody joining here today. This is an absolute blast.
This is good. This is fun. This is tech. You didn't think that you were gonna need this form factor, and then you see something like this and you're like, I can't do that on my laptop. It is some serious level of multitasking. Keeping tabs on a variety of things without opening and closing as many windows as frequently. I think that's how I would use it. You might have a podcast playing down here, and then you might be doing some work up above. They mesh together in a sort of seamless way, because by the time you have it lifted up, because of the angle, it goes up to fill the remainder of the bezel around the display up top. So they're kind of perfectly placed for a dual screen setup. You know, when you have a dual screen setup, you try to minimize the effect of the bezel around the screen. Well, this angle does that. But let's go ahead and see how this video looks on the upper display.
Oh, damn.
I mean, that's a really nice. I mean, obviously this is your, that's where you really want to get immersed in an episode of Blue later. That's where you're gonna do it. But it is a long show, and if you're into podcasts and things like that, the bottom display, you get a little work done. No need for a secondary monitor anywhere else. Kind of into it. This is the type of thing where you would have this laptop and you would learn all kinds of ways in which you start to take advantage of this secondary display. You become more proficient at it. Requires a little bit of a retraining. You're not used to it. You've had this laptop form factor in front of you so many times, and there's never been a second display slammed in there. I probably need to make the laptop aware of the fact that this pen is here. Yeah, check it out. This is even better. Precision, no fingerprints. You know, the thing is, you might be looking at this thinking, okay, that's a narrow display down there, but realize the angle here and how solid this mechanism they were able to build from a hardware perspective. Like, let me see, if I go here and I go to handwriting, so smooth and so solid. All right, so the pen is charging up right now, and I'm gonna use it. I'm gonna use it in a real world scenario, actually. I'm gonna use dual display in a real world scenario. Mo came up with the idea, why don't we just edit the thumbnail for this video on this particular laptop to see how it might enhance our laptop photo editing experience. So we got Photoshop on here. There's a little thumbnail station over there. We'll go shoot the thumbnail, bring the image back onto the Zenbook here, and then configure Photoshop in order to have a dual display scenario. And maybe I'll use the pen, maybe I'll use the trackpad, maybe I'll get a mouse, try to find the optimal scenario for image editing on this particular device. New workspace. I'm gonna call it Duo. Okay, so this is pretty cool. We have a preset in here for common functions in a number of applications. You have this nice overlay for frequently used functions. You wanna reach up and touch. Look at like layer opacity. You can see the brush size adjusting up there, but you also get a bigger representation over there. Layer zoom in, zoom out, and all touch-based interface. And then if I had the pen, even more precision, brush flow, smoothing, hardness, brush opacity, undo, redo, flip. It's actually pretty nice looking. It's almost like as if what you end up with is a hardware style interface, like as if you had an external interface, but instead you're using this real estate as a touchscreen for that purpose. So it's called Pro Art Creator Hub. And what you can see is I can configure this thing like crazy and select what I want in each section. We can add a new section, like here, you see there's no button there at all. Oh. You can even put system things in here, like system brightness. Let's try it. Look, now I have system brightness. Let's see what happens. 100%. The way this dial works is like an actual, like a scroll wheel. And flip. Back to there. It's kind of fun. It can really be whatever you want it to be. You can make it as minimal and simple as you want, or as complex with whatever your frequently used functions happen to be. But it really gets your mind moving about the real estate you have available. Like, okay, 14.5-inch laptop, maybe I could carry around some kind of external hardware device that would be similar to this. But otherwise, this would be taking up way too much of my screen on a laptop this size if I had this overlay with these tools up here. This is just a bonus having this in here. And of course my pen, I can tap here still, undo, redo, but then I can also go up here and I still have this input method if I wanna just reach up and touch the screen or use the mouse or use the trackpad. It's versatility. This is nice to draw on. Like this screen right here is kind of nice to draw on. It's endless. You could do what they were suggesting with the Pro Art setup and you have all your touch-based controls down here and you're mostly working up here. You could have a mouse, bring your entire project, your actual image onto the bottom display. I mean, of course there's touch sensitivity on the top display, but this is just a very comfortable place to draw, and the angle of it means that your hand is kind of up off of your keyboard. You can have a keyboard lock as well. Let's say I just wanted to like brighten up the eyes, for example. I could just select over here, come in here, like you see what I'm talking about? And you have the precision of a pen input. The stability is what's key. Like this hinge, this thing is so solid that you really feel like you're drawing on something substantial. The thing about our thumbnails is like they're kind of more or less figured out. There's just a few touch-ups here and there when we're working on it, but this obviously enhances certain aspects of it. A pen does give you some level of control that a mouse. I mean, you could still get really good with a mouse, but like when I had that on the secondary display here, a little bit more precision for me if I'm just gonna go in and highlight a specific area. I can imagine that over time, I would become even more familiar with this dual screen scenario, and I would find even better ways to find efficiency in the different types of work and the different types of software that I would utilize. This is a very unique laptop. Honestly, there's not a lot out there like it, if at all, and I'm glad that it exists because it's just exciting when you have this alternative form factor. When I saw the first version, I was like, wow, look what they figured out. But then there was part of me that was wondering how successful it would be and if it was gonna hang around, and here we are on the latest version. It turns out that I'm not the only one that finds this to be interesting and innovative. So there it is, the latest Zenbook Duo with OLED, 120 Hertz, secondary display, RTX graphics, studio drivers, touchscreen, pen input. I mean, you can do a lot with this thing, and it's all in a very slim and trim package.